All right. I'm Steven. I'm pairing you up with, I love this, one of my favorite Japanese guys, Asao. He's 5'9", 145. So that's pretty much you. So this dude is your size, but throws high 90s. And you'll see exactly why. All right, so take you into your leg lift. Take a Sal into his leg lift. Okay. So you're like crouching. You're lifting and bringing everything back and crouching. So you're not really in that same mentality of these guys are lifting and just focusing on taking everything. So if I took a line off your back leg, you're just too balanced up at this point. If I took a line off of Sal's back leg, we can see how inside he is, his hips way inside that line. So he's definitely moving, got more momentum going forward than you. Let's take you out of your lift. So you start pushing your hips out, but you're kind of crouching down because your head isn't going anywhere. So if I'm pushing my hips out and my head's staying back, I'm really not building momentum. I'm just kind of crouching down at this point. Okay, now you start to open up and reach out. You're also, you're kind of doing that drop and drive. So like you stand right here, you're tall, you lift, you drop straight down because your force vector hasn't moved. So that means you're just dropping down. Even though you're kicking your hips out, your force vector is still straight up and down. So that's why I say it's so important to move forward and down at the same rate. Your hips have to go forward and down at the same rate because you want to make sure that when you hit a linear force vector, you've peaked out your flexion. If you peak flexion before that and then you move out into a linear force vector, like drop and extend out, then by the time you get into a linear force vector, you already have extension. You've already extended your leg. We want those to meet at the same time. So look, by the time so when that force vector gets into that linear position, that's the point where you peaked your flexion. So it was like this. It was like forward and down at the same rate. It's awkward, but that way we hit a linear force vector at the moment we hit flexion. Because the stretch shortening cycle says that flexion is stretching the glute, the calf, the quad before it fires. So the problem is in the stretch shortening cycle, if you stretch the muscle and then hold it, it loses energy. It's like stretching a rubber band and then holding it and letting it go. It's less explosive because it loses that energy. It actually dissipates through heat. The rubber band gets hot. It's losing that energy. So that's why you want to hit that linear force vector at the same moment, or you want to hit full flexion in your drive leg at the same moment you hit your linear force vector. So you're not, better chance you're in more flexion, and so you haven't been holding that stretch for too long, or holding that flexion for too long.
So I need to get my hips going forward more?
Yep, we move forward and down the same rate. So if we start here, this is your hips, and we want the hips to be here when you're linear. You go forward and down at the same rate.
And then right about where you're saying the hips should be, that's when I should have full flexion at that point?
Yep, but if you took your hips forward and down the same rate, it would do that for you. Because you took your hips like this. You went down, and then you went out.
Okay.
So you went down, and then you extended out. So and then when you got to that position, you really didn't have a lot of flexion. So look, when you got to that position here, and your lift leg is about to open, there's really not a lot of flexion in your leg. All right, so let's take Asao down the mountain. So here he goes, moving forward and down at the same rate. So he's that extender, so he extends that leg before he launches. Force vector's going. Lift leg knee breaks the front hip. So if we took him back where he started, hips right here, watch as those hips go. They go forward and down the same rate. The camera's moving. So now they're here. So they started here, and they moved forward and down perfectly to that point. All right, so Also, notice here too, he's a little bit, when you're about to go into extension, you don't want to be this far back with your torso. You can start that way, but when you're about to go into extension, you got to get more vertical. So, as he opens front side, he's going to extend his backside, so we see that triple extension, open him into a full stride. You see him kick the ankle going into front foot, and notice right when he hits front foot, his hips open. Boom. Take you there. You open front side. You kind of just collapse backside. I don't see really a push, maybe a little bit of push off your ankle as you fall into extension. I'll cover that up. What is that? Trash? It's what? Or popcorn? Wait up till after this. I'll talk to you. All right. So you hit front foot, and you lock up. Your hips open about right there. I'd say right there. Sal, you can see his hips open right there. Notice too, he's cocking that arm into front foot, and when his hips are opening, he goes into that full cock position. You're way up in here before you even go into front foot. So as you're landing and then your hips are coming through, you're already throwing the ball. So say that's your point of your hips opening. So if this is a Sal's, his hips to his shoulders, he's got that much hip to shoulder separation. This is your hips to shoulders. You probably got half that hip to shoulder separation. I think you did a good job of staying tilted at this point. See how you tilted back? You did a really good job tilting back there, which helped hold that shoulder in position a little bit longer, but still not enough force, not a quick enough hip rotation. Okay, so as Sal goes into shoulder rotation, he gets front leg extension into maximum external rotation, and then front full extension for pitch release. When you go into shoulder rotation, you don't get optimal external or maximum external rotation. As we can see here, definitely don't have forward trunk tilt and no front leg extension. So kind of what we've been seeing with everybody else at that point.